Pandemonium Reigns.
Pandemonium Reigns, OrangeCast edition. We're going to talk Citrus Bowl, Iowa, Tennessee. As Spurrier once said, can't spell citrus without UT, and I just made all the volunteer fans cringe. I'm sorry. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dan. He's Mike. This is Pandemonium Reigns. This is an OrangeCast, man. It's Nico time in Tennessee. But wait. Or is it? Or is it? Because Gaston Moore got more snaps on the year than Nico, did he not?
He did.
Did he not?
He did. And I don't know why. And I think that Nico could be whatever he's going to be if he took 0 snaps this year. You know, a traditional red shirt, not a 4-game red shirt. I think he could be whatever he's going to be without him. Look at the number of snaps that your last 7 Heisman-winning quarterbacks got as true freshmen. Some of them got a few, some of them got none, some of them got plenty because they had to play. It doesn't matter. That's all in the past now because it is Nico time in Tennessee, whether you like Joe Milton, whether you couldn't stand Joe Milton. That era is over. I think he was a tremendous teammate. I think he was good for the university because I don't think it would have been good to roll a 12-game schedule without him this year with Nico or Gaston Moore. I don't think that was good. I appreciate his efforts, but I think they got better each year. You know what I mean? I think his effort got better each year. I think he was an outstanding teammate. Appreciate him, but I'm ready for Nico time. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm glad that you started that off with Joe because I think overall I'm appreciative of Joe, and I think you nailed it. Great teammate. We discovered in hindsight that Hooker covered up a lot like Dobbs did for Butch, a multitude of sins. I'm not saying that Hooker covered Heupel's sins, but just Hooker was able to mask, or at least able to make up for an atrocious defense. He was just able, so much. Which leads me to Joe. Joe never won you a game, but Joe never lost you a game either. He was just the quarterback of the University of Tennessee. That's the best way I know to say it. It's the only way I know to say it. He just was. Joe, in hindsight, 229 completions on the year, 2,800 yards. That's good for 64.7 completion percentage, 20 touchdowns, 5 picks. Going into the season, I probably would have predicted that. I think I would have told you 22-7, 21-4, something around that line, but he ends up with 20-5. Nonetheless, it's over. If I'm him, I don't agree with his decision. I don't think it's what's best for him. I think he needs to play. I think he needs to better his case. Maybe it's Heupel in his ear saying, listen, man, listen to the genius inside of me. Go do something amazing at a pro day. Go do something amazing at the combine where you launch the ball 120 and they're going to salivate over you. Don't play. I don't know. I think it was in his best interest to play because at the end of the day, if you're a GM, a head coach in the NFL, you're looking, how does he perform in games? I want to know kind of gamer he is, not how far he can throw it. So
I think the best case would have been for him to play, but I don't think it's just to play. I think he needed to have a great game for this to benefit him. I just want to speak to this before we moved on. Sorry to interrupt you.
You're fine.
But I think he needed to have a great game for it to really impact his status without, having a great pro day, a combine. I'm sure he'll get the invite. He's going to the Senior Bowl. He's going to have a great opportunity down there. I don't think him going out and having, 50% completion percentage. And look, and the reason I'm saying these things are not just him. They're not just the offensive line. They're not just the receiver play that we've got. It's just the offense and what it's been this year. And I don't think this matchup is conducive for really our offense to look anything like its peak performance. Not that we've really seen that this year. I think it could be a struggle. I think we'll win. Spoiler, I think we'll win the game. I think we should win the game. But I don't think it's going to look anything like our offense just gliding up and down the field. I think it's going to be a labored win. The run game is going to have to do a lot without Jabari Small and Jalen Wright for sure. But I don't think it would have benefited him to go out there and have a mediocre or an average performance. So from that aspect, I kind of get it. I always want to see the guys play. I'm always on that side. But I do get it because the last thing, he has to have a great pro day. He has to have a good combine. He has to go make connections at the Senior Bowl. He can't have a broken leg or a torn ACL or be unable to perform in those situations. So I get it. but I'm never going to be in favor of it.
I think that's a good point. If there's anything that he has to do, it's do well in this offseason and the days leading up to the draft. He needs to excel there. And if he has an injury, then, very problematic.
Yeah.
But, how many hits on the year did he take? I mean, he really wasn't hit that much.
It's cut down tremendously from the start of the season, honestly. Even as the offensive line lost dudes like John Campbell with his ankle, Gerald Mincey being in and out consistently. I don't know what he battled this year. And look, I'm glad he's coming back because he played some pretty good ball, at least in 2022. He played some pretty good ball, even though, his JUCO buddy beat him out a little bit. But, he's not taking the hits that we saw him take against UTSA and Florida. Right. And, he's not taking those hits as the year has gone on. So that's a little perplexing. But I guess, he's just looking at the landscape of today's game. Or maybe, like you said, Heupel's saying, hey, we appreciate what you've done.
Sure.
It's Nico time. Go do the Zach Wilson throw. Go make connections with every GM at the Senior Bowl, and go be great. I think there's so many options here. I don't think it's just Joe being, I'm out of here. I'm done.
Oh,
he'll
I don't
probably
think
be on the sidelines. I think he'll be on the sidelines with a headset on.
I'm hoping so, and I agree with you. I think so. All right, so you mentioned Iowa's defense and how this could be a little more stifling. Came across some digging, and I have a series of stat lines that I want to throw at you and hopefully shed a different light on this Iowa defense. So let me go through their schedule, who they played, and that team's respective offensive ranking, where they finished offensively. Does that make sense? So this Iowa defense versus the series of opponents that they played. Here we go. Utah State, 27th ranked offense. Iowa State, 87th ranked offense. Western Michigan, 80th ranked offense. Penn State, 62nd ranked offense.
But
yeah, right. Michigan State, who Iowa beat 26-16, 128th offensive rank. 128th.
Whew.
Purdue, who they beat 20-14, 71st. Wisconsin, 125th.
Oh my God.
125th. Minnesota, who they lost to 12-10, 76th. And this is just crazy. Northwestern, who they beat 10-7, 124th. 124th. Rutgers, who they beat 22-0, 123rd. Illinois, 62nd. Nebraska, 117th. Michigan, 70th. Here's my point. Tennessee's offensive rank, 16.
So I'm actually looking at I have an image on my phone with just the national ranking. I didn't know the teams, so that's why you saw my jaw hanging partially
You
down.
saw the tweet too? Yeah, I found the tweet.
Yeah. When I knew you were about to say Michigan State, or I knew you were about to say Penn State at 62, the Big Ten West, man, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I could find better words for beautiful thing. Yeah.
And also, did you just say
sunrises,
that
beautiful thing. Sunsets, beautiful thing. The ocean, beautiful thing. My wife's booty, beautiful thing. That, not a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Also, did you just say that Michigan is 70th?
Michigan, 70th.
Let's go re-record that Michigan-Alabama thing. You want to? Just kidding. Yeah, man. Look, we stack up great compared to that crap. I mean, Utah State, you know why their offense is ranked 27th? Because they play teams that you're supposed to play when you're Utah State. That's why their offense is 27th.
The Mountain West. The Big Ten West.
Yeah. The Big Ten West. And look, USC and UCLA are about to join this conference and be losing to these teams that are ranked 75th and below and 124th here and there. They're about to join this conference, and they're not going to run through it. They're about to lose some of these games, and that's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
But that is a disaster, man.
Yeah.
That's such a disaster. Honestly, our offense shouldn't be ranked 16th, but I think that speaks to this run game going back to Milton being just a guy. He's not him. He's just a guy. And what that results in is the 16th best offense in the country. And that's probably Heupel's worst output.
Look at it this way.
Okay.
So Iowa lost 3 games. They lost Penn State, they lost Minnesota, and they lost Michigan. So out of the games they won, Michigan State scored the most on them. Michigan State, the Spartans. Michigan State, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 128th best offense in the country.
Woof. And
do you think that we're good for 16? Do you think we're good for 16?
If we're not good for 16, you got to go into the portal.
Fire him.
Yeah, fire him. Yeah. Also, not yet discussed. Iowa's offense, 130. It's got to be 130.
Yeah. Well, is that where we're shifting? Are we ready? Are we ready to flip sides?
Sorry.
I have a comment on that
as well. Just a thought in my head. So let's only when you're ready.
No, that's fine. Well, so if we're going to talk about the Iowa offense, I think one thing that really benefits us regarding them is you've got your young Tennessee secondary guys who are going to be thrusted in this game, right? Your Ricky Gibsons, Jordan Thomas is probably playing. I would say this, man. What a great game for these guys to get started. Big stage, national television, right? Big game against a horrid offense. Go shine, baby.
Go shine. There should be pressure from the edge at all times with whether it's James Pierce. I don't care if it's Don Bailey. And I'm not bashing their offensive line because it's obviously not bad. But when they drop back to pass, there should be pressure, pretty much unlike things they've not seen outside of maybe Michigan, maybe Penn State.
Yeah.
With that schedule that they played, there should be pressure on, is Deacon Hill, is he healthy? Is he their quarterback, Deacon Hill?
Deacon Hill, that's the guy. Is he healthy? I don't know.
Look, I've heard they've got one injured. I've heard they've got one portaling out. I don't know where in God's green earth he will transfer to when you're a part of the 130th ranked offense out of 130. Yeah. But there should be pressure. There should not be a lot of speed that you're facing at those receiver positions. Now, tight ends, they can do that all right.
Sure.
So linebackers, inside DBs and safeties, you better have to be on your game. The last thing I better see is my man Brock for Purdue a couple years ago going off, having the game of his life. That's the last thing I better see. And look, Iowa does not have Aiden O'Connell throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't have that. They don't have Jeff Brom on the sidelines offensively. Ferentz is great defensively. They ain't that offensively. I'm 100% with you, man. It is time for Ricky Gibson. Go show me why we brought you in, please. Gabe Judy Lawley, if you're coming back next year, show me what you're going to be bringing to the table. I'm with you. John Slaughter, Andre Turntine, Jordan Thomas, all names I'm expecting to see. Tamarian McDonald and Wesley Walker are probably two the ones we'll miss the most, I think. But it shouldn't be felt in a game like Iowa, in a bowl game with injuries and opt-outs and things like that.
Yeah. I think if you're Iowa, you're probably watching the Florida film, right? I mean, you're going –
you got to be.
Okay, well, we're not Bama, okay? We don't have the firepower of Missouri, and we don't have the studs that Georgia has. So that leaves Tennessee's next loss is Florida. Okay, that might be, a blueprint that we can model. So therefore, I turn around and say, all right, if I'm Tennessee, I want to play cover one. I want to press the heck out of you, and I want to blitz in the backfield. Do your best to set up shop in the backfield. Be so aggressive and just dare them. You haven't done this all year. You're good for 240 yards per game. Your offense is the worst in its conference, and your conference has Indiana and Illinois and Nebraska and Northwestern, and you were the worst. You were the worst. I dare you. I dare you. We're gonna come. We're gonna come after you. We're gonna run fit well, and when we know that you're in passing situations, dude, we're coming. Cover one, cover zero. You better make a decision to make it fast. And if that's how we lose, then that's how we lose. But do not let Iowa Florida you with these 3 and 4 yard dink and dunks these 3 yards and a cloud of dust and these long sustaining drives and play really great defense where you force us to go 3. Don't allow that crap to happen. If you're on the defensive side of the ball, get there, play aggressive, and let that aggressiveness start and let that mentality build off of the play call. Bro, cover 1, cover 0, again, let's go. Let's ride. On first down, let's go. Oh, but we got an offside. They're first and 5. Go get him. Cover 0. Go get him. I just fill all the gaps and go. I don't because can Deacon Hill really beat you? Come on.
Look, man, I was just when I clicked into the game, the first thing I noticed was not about this game. It was a video in ESPN of Jaden Daniels on the left and Joe Milton on the right, which I don't get. The next thing I noticed is that Jalen Wright is 80. He's 83 yards shy rushing of what Deacon Hill has passed for. And I know that Cade McNamara was supposed to be your starter. I know he got hurt. I know you're Iowa. I know all the factors. There's not a chance that he should beat you. There's just not.
No, I mean, he absolutely should. And we're raving about the Iowa defense. Ours is not so bad. We're not honestly, bad.
And I'm sorry, but we didn't play these offenses, the number of them, below 75, 80, 100. We didn't play 2 below 100 unless it was UConn. And gosh, I mean, the bye games that they also played, for the record, I mean, it wasn't in conference. These offenses are better, man. Even South Carolina's probably got to be above 100, I would say.
You'd think so. You would think so.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Our defense, it took a baby step. It's not 21 bad. It's not 22 bad. It took a baby step this year. It certainly got hurt in games. There's no doubt about that. But that's what happens when you don't have the offense helping you out, like it did at times in 21, like it did all year long in 2022.
Sure,
that's what happens.
Sure, I think at the end of this game, if we've lost this, it's going to be because we just simply shot ourselves in the foot. Stupid penalties, dropped passes. Nico, I about said something really dangerous just then. Nico, let me just emphasize that. Nico, with some mistakes here and there that are costly for whatever reason. I just don't see many cases where, and it's not even they're the Big Ten West. Your offense is just so bad. And we've done nothing but hear about the Iowa defense. Well, statistically, they haven't really played anybody. So
Agreed, man.
I like us. I mean, they wet the bed. Let me go see if I can't find this again. 31-0 loss to Penn State. 12-10 loss to Minnesota. 26-0 loss to Michigan. You couldn't generate anything. And I'm not saying we're Penn State. I'm not saying we're Michigan, but we're better than Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, come on, we are.
We're better than Minnesota. So, what's the spread on this?
So it dropped from 8 points even to 6.5 with the Milton to Nico news. I don't quite, 1.5 when it's already 8. It is a 6.5 point spread. I'm not making much of that. You're still a touchdown favorite. The crazy number is the 36.5 over under. Boy, we've not seen that in a Josh Heupel game in a long time, if ever.
Yeah, no kidding. So I'm gonna pick us to win outright. I'm gonna pick us to win by 2 scores, I think at least. Since this game was announced, I've been thinking about which is better to have, a great offense and a terrible defense, or a great defense and a terrible offense. I think the better option is to have a worse defense. If you can't score points,
out of 100.
If you can't score, I mean, I started thinking back to some of those Tennessee seasons where the defense was okay, but we just couldn't generate anything. With Jarrett Guarantano or with Matt Sims, where we just couldn't generate points, but we defended well, and it just came to a point where the defense just couldn't hold up anymore, and the bottom fell out, and the other team just kept scoring. So give me a team that can score and plays average defense over a team who plays really great defense and who can't score.
All day, man. I mean, think about some of the outliers, and there's not many of them because the way the sport works. But think about this is such a terrible example almost. 2019 LSU. All right. Let's say 2019 LSU had 2018 Joe Burrow. Okay. And does that defense national championship good?
You broke out a little bit there. Say that again.
And the example is an extreme one, but it's 2019 LSU. Okay.
Okay.
Now put 2018 Joe Burrow on that team. Are they winning at all with that defense?
2018 Joe Burrow on that 2019 team. Do they have Joe Brady? Because I think that was the difference
he was
maker.
there.
No, Joe Brady was not there in 18.
Okay.
Not in 18. They hired him in 19.
I got you.
Well, so are you saying?
I would say.
So you're saying
what he did in 2018? With what he did in 2018, yeah. I mean, that's what an offense can do. We don't see it all the time because that offense was one of the best we've ever seen, frankly.
I mean, just think about the scoring matches they got into with Alabama and with Texas.
Ole Miss. Before Kiffin.
Yeah, good point.
Pre-Kiffin Ole Miss, and look, they had some teams there, but they weren't. And I think they had young Matt Corral. They had John Reese Plumlee, who was just running all over the place.
Sure.
But that's what an offense can do for you. Like if Tennessee had an offense that was in the low teens or the high 20s instead of the 30s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With last year's offense, something like that. Think about what can happen. Look at the Alabama game and what we thought they were supposed to be,
Yeah.
Just imagine if you get a couple stops and you don't let Stetson Bennett roll outside on you for a touchdown and throw up the cell phone signal. Think about those things. If you can prevent some of that crap from happening, that's the value in an offense. That's the reason the game has changed the way that it has.
Yeah. I think the formula for us is pretty simple. I don't think you have to be aggressive in your offensive play call. I think you just got to do enough to generate the chains moving. I don't even think you necessarily need the deep shot, which is what we've said so much in so many of our games. Alabama, you got to hit the deep shot. Georgia, you got to hit the deep shot. Florida, you got to hit this. I don't think you have to here. I really, really don't. Jalen Wright hasn't said that he's opting out or he's not playing.
He has. He's not playing. It was quiet, but he's not playing.
What kind of Tennessee fan? So we got Dylan Sampson and Cameron Seldon in the backfield.
We do.
I feel okay with that. I feel really good about that. That does not bother me. So out on the edge, we're going to be dealing with Chaz Nimrod, Squirrel White, Jacob Warren, McAllen Castles. I'm not hating this. Cade Mays. Mincy's back. Curick's back. I'm not hating this.
I'm not hating it, man.
If the tempo can get going and you can generate 3-4-5, 4-5-6, 5-4-9, whatever, and you just put the drives together, which I think that you can do. No, don't get me wrong, nor will I be surprised if we do something, straight Tennessee. But I think there's a multiple ways that you can win this game if you're Tennessee, running up the score, playing keep away. If I was like, we're not going to let you touch the ball, Tennessee can turn around and be like, fine, when we have it, we ain't going to let you do that either. So it's almost like what I said with Washington and Texas. Washington's like, you name your style of play. We'll do it. If I'm Tennessee and going, I'm like, how y'all want to play this? Because I feel pretty good. I mean, Williams is probably on punt return. I'm feeling good. Of course, they got a good one as well. Cooper DeJean, I believe, White Boy.
If he's healthy, he might be hurt.
I believe
he might be hurt.
Last I heard, he's transferring to Duke to play basketball. But there's just too many things. If you had nobody behind Jabari Small and Jalen Wright, but you do. If you didn't have the guys on the edge like you do, if Nico gets hurt, or if you had Cade Mays opting out, you had Mincy declaring and all this stuff, and they're opting out, the only real opt-outs you got are Joe, Jabari Small, I think this is injury. I think his injury has a lot to do with this.
Yeah.
Jalen Wright, that one stinks. But and then outside of that, it's your secondary who, I mean, is that really a issue? Is that a problem? I mean, those guys are so susceptible. It might be time to let somebody else do this thing. And again, I'll go back to what I said. What a great game for these guys to get playing time in. I just there's just too many. There's too much on this roster that, and I'm looking at Iowa going Deacon Hill. Okay, you got a 49% completion percentage. You've thrown 5 touchdowns on the year and 6 picks, and you've been sacked 20 times. Okay, seen enough. And I don't think this game is played on a stat sheet, but I do think stats indicate some things. And I think that we can generate some Deacon Hill turnovers, whether it be fumbles, picks, whatever, turnover on downs, whatever.
We absolutely should, man. We absolutely should. We haven't even talked about their leading receiver is in the 200s. I mean, there's just so many things that line up for you to win this game, and to do so, like you're saying, when you don't have your quarterback and your RB1, some of your secondary that you've all complained about, and again, I think losing to Mary McDonald and Wesley Walker are 2 of the worst losses in this portal class for right now. Not to mention Kamal Haddon, who's been hurt, but it just sets up too nice for you.
Yeah. So LaShawn Williams, their starting running back, 164 carries, 804 yards. Good for almost 5 yards a carry. Okay. He's a load. 5'10", 208. That's a load. That's a problem. But you found the end zone once. That tells me you can't. That tells me if you do get into the red zone, you can't finish.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got stat lines. Oh, where did it go? I just had it. Looking at his games. So he did really well against Nebraska, 16 for 111, and then he was 16 for 54 against Illinois. What I'm doing by pointing this out is just trying to find some kind of limelight for them. Here you go, Wisconsin, 25 carries, 174 yards. All right, man. Western Michigan, 12 carries, 145 yards. Could he be a problem for us? Yes. Do I think he will be? Not if you do what I'm telling you to do, where you don't allow this. You stack the box and say, I dare you to throw it. I dare you. Gosh, I dare you. 11 carries for 13 yards against Minnesota.
5 and 7 Minnesota. 6 and 7, Minnesota.
Yeah. So, I mean, he had some breakouts. So he like the 12 for 145 against Western Michigan, but then he's got 12 carries for 38 yards against Michigan State. Who is Michigan State this year? Not good. Terrible. And we've said it once, we've said it 1,000 times. Transitive property does not exist, but our defense is better than a lot of those.
100%.
It could come down to, do we not want to be there? That could play out. But hopefully you've got a mentality in a Cade Mays who's like, nope. We're not doing this. We're not gonna come down here and mess around. We're gonna come down and get a win. So
yeah,
I want to end it by asking you this, because I think that 2024 is not a make or break season for Heupel, but it's very indicative of who he is. This is going to be his dudes now at this point. So a handful of recruiting classes underneath his belt. Roster management is probably the term that we should use, since you now have to include the portal and NIL and all this stuff. So if Heupel loses this game, what kind of trajectory does that put him on? What kind of off-season conversation are we having? Are we dismissing it and saying, it was a bowl game, it was a Citrus Bowl, nobody cares. Nobody cares about the bowls. We're going to a 12-team playoff. Or is it, bro, Iowa and that terrible offense, we couldn't generate enough points to outscore Iowa? What is it?
Bowls have never meant less, but with the opponent being as bad at 1/3 of the game as they are, I think you have to be a little more serious about it. I don't think it's great when you cared last year because you had a good 10-win year and you beat Clemson. You could have done it if they made all their field goals. You'd still beat them. You know what I mean? You played a great game for the most part against Clemson. I don't think it's something where you can just say, well, we lost to Iowa, so what? Look, this should be the launch of something pretty special with Nico. I mean, we don't land quarterbacks like that all the time around here anymore. We need to make the most of it, for goodness sake. What doesn't set up great And what concerns me probably the most for this bowl game, it's near the top of the concerns for 2024, is what are the receivers going to do? What are they going to do to make me forget about some of their issues this year where we didn't have the separation, we didn't take the deep shots, we didn't catch the football when that is your job outside of blocking. Those are the questions that I'm going to have for this game. Certainly for next year, I like the addition of Razzle from Tulane. I like what he could bring. I like the guys that we're bringing in. I'm a big fan of Mike Matthews. I think he'll be a very special player for us. I'm not sure if he'll do it next year because we haven't seen many young receivers do it yet. Yeah. So I don't think you can totally throw it away. I do think 2024 is very important for Josh Heupel. I think you've just got yourself a coach if you roll out and you go 8-4, maybe an ugly 9-3 if that's even possible, meaning you beat somebody that you shouldn't, but maybe you lose to, Kentucky or I don't know, Arkansas. You lose something you don't need to lose. You got what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
I think if you do those things and you go an ugly 8-4, an ugly 9-3 again, I think you've just got a coach. I think if you can roll out a 10-2, I don't know that you'll do better because you're going to Georgia. Yeah, you're hosting Alabama, but gotta love what they return. I think 10-2 might be the ceiling as of right now. Again, kind of like we talked about at times for this year. But I still think that's special because it's not happened very, very recently, and he's the first one to do it since Fulmer. So I think that would be special. I think that would be a great sign and, an indicator that you're probably going to push the playoff, during Nico's career.
I think an Iowa loss does not send you in the right trajectory to do those things. I think it does some damage.
Agreed.
We are a tarnished fan base, right? We are Vol battered syndrome for a lot of us. I think you have to win this game. I'm not saying it's a must win by anything, but I think it's really important to win this game, especially to get off on the right foot next season. It's a really bad look, I think, if you lose this game. I'm not saying it's high risk, high reward in that sense, as in, it does more damage if you lose it as it does good if you win. I think it's just really important that you win this because of the status of Iowa, who they are, and going into the offseason, 9-4 is a whole lot better than 8-5. You want to
absolutely
get to 9 wins. I wish it was 10, but get to 9 wins. Handle this game. Listen, respect to Iowa. They won their division. Did what they had to do to win their division. But I think this is an inferior opponent. And I pray to God they don't, just outright disappoint me, which a part of me is anticipating just because of the crap that we've been through. So go out, handle business, and I think if you don't do that, if you lack the ability to get up for this game with the guys and the leadership that you have coming back, Joe on the sideline that you mentioned, I'm going to say that starts at the top. I'm going to say that starts at the top, and then I'm going to say that's indicative of Heupel. That's on him. Like you got to do the things to get them ready and prepared and to create the desire inside of them to want to play this game. So nonetheless, 9-4, whole lot better, puts you on a much better trajectory for the 24 season. Going in, hosting UTC and then playing NC State in Charlotte. You want to get this win here. And plus, it's months before you get to strap it up again. Spring ball is not the same as game. It's not the same. So don't leave us with that taste in the mouth. And I will end by saying this. I want Nico to do well. I really do. But at the same time, I would love to win this game on the ground and minimally through Nico, just so we don't have all the absolute psycho Vol fans. Oh my God, Nico, did you see basically what we did with Joe and Clemson?
Yep, that's not a bad point at all. I like that.
So, well, we're at the end of this thing. You have any other closing comments on this puppy?
Nah, man, just go get this dub. And like you said, carry some momentum because you're bringing a lot of guys back. You've got some nice freshmen coming in as well. Go build something special, and do it starting on the 1st, leading into the 2024 season.
There you go. Because it's fun, we'll end this way. Because it's out of pure fun, give me a stat line for Nico when the game is over.
Nico, I think, is going to go 20 for 28, 225, touchdown to pick.
1 touchdown, 1 pick?
Yep.
Okay.
He's also going to run for about 30, I think. He's going to get some yards on the ground.
Okay.
I think that'll actually be critical for the game, to be honest with you, but he's going to get some yards on the ground.
Okay. I'm going to go 17 for 27. I'm going to go 219 in yards. I'm going to go 2 touchdowns and 1 INT. 1 INT. The worst case scenario, I'll tell you this, worst case scenario for this game is he gets hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. You ain't kidding, man. I mean, forget the bowl game at that point. I don't care. Just call the game if he gets hurt.
Oh, my gosh. End it. I don't want to see or hear anymore. Hey, that's going to bring us to the end of this. Thank you guys so much for hanging out on this OrangeCast edition, Pandemonium Reigns. Again, if you listen to the other episode, we hope that you have had a wonderful Christmas, that you got a awesome New Year planned with your family. We hope that you have all the things that you want and desire for this holiday season and for this upcoming year. Here is to the Vols going 12-0 in 2024 and national champions. We love you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. God bless. Go Vols.
GBO.
Pandemonium Reigns.